Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this meeting of the Wayne Westland Board of Education. Today is February 10th. This is the first meeting in February. We appreciate you coming here, and we appreciate the support that you show our school district. We're going to begin this evening's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, led by Caden Gonzalez and Kinsley Gonzalez.
I allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sounds like we didn't have much of a... Mr. Neal?
Yes. Okay, a word. Caden Gonzalez is a fifth grade student at Schweitzer. He's been a student there since kindergarten and has always gone above and beyond to demonstrate leadership. Caden works hard as a learner and contributes to his school community in a positive way at all times. He has been a safety and recognized as Author of the Month and Leader of the Month. Other students look up to Caden because he's such an upstanding person. Kinsley Gonzalez is a kindergartner at Schweitzer. She is happy because she gets to come to school with her big brother, Caden. Kinsley loves school and is a leader just like her big brother. She's a messenger for her teacher, Miss Micole, and can always be trusted to escort another student to the office or return breakfast to the cafeteria. Kinsley has the biggest smile and is kind to everyone at school. Both Caden and Kinsley are wonderful students and leaders at Schweitzer every day.
And I'm going to have you come over here and turn around so that the camera can see you. Kinsley, I'd like to first present you with this award of recognition presented to Kinsley Gonzalez for participation in the flag ceremony during a regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Wayne Westland Community Schools. Thank you. Hold that. Caden, this is a award of recognition presented to Caden Gonzalez for participation in the flag ceremony during a regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Wayne Westland Community Schools. Thank you very much. So did you bring anybody with you tonight?
I brought my dad, my mom, my grandpa, and my grandma.
Did you bring a teacher or principal with you?
And my principal.
Thank you. Well, what we'd like to do now is we'd like to, first of all, everyone can we please thank these kids for leading us in the pledge of allegiance. Now, if you'd like to, we'd like to ask you to come and take a seat in the board chairs so that we can get your picture. Nick? And the family members and principal, if you'd like to come and stand in front of here so you could all be in this event. Want to come up? Had everybody, Nick?
The grandparents don't want to come?
Grandpa?
You're
Grandma?
part of this too?
Ms. Hines, will you pull that microphone down in front of her just so I can get her face?
There you go.
In front of his face too, Mr.
Can you
Goss.
put this down so we can see you?
And the microphone as well, so we can see his face. There we go.
Alright.
All right, give me a big smile. Okay, thank you.
Alright.
Thank you very much. Good job. Can you find your way out? Yep. All right.
Sort of like a bow tie.
Thank you, Ms. Brickey, and thank you to the Gonzalez family for coming here and supporting the kids tonight. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you very much. Mr. Neal, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, I will. Ms. Hines.
Present.
Myself, also present. Mr. Buckaloo.
Here.
Mrs. Madell.
I'm here.
Mrs. Walker.
Present.
Dr. Weaver.
Here.
And President Cox.
And I'm present. Thank you, Mr. Neal.
All present.
The next item on the agenda this evening is recognitions and presentations regarding Champions Program. Mrs. Simmons?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to turn this over to Miss Amanda Dybus. She is one of our supervisors for the Family and Community Engagement Division.
Good evening. We have a presentation tonight by one of our biggest partnerships in the district, Champions Before and After School Program. So I would just like to introduce to you Cassie Nichols.
Good evening, everyone. How are you tonight?
Fine, thank you.
Good. So I had an opportunity, Ms. Dybus helped me pass out some different binders to each one of you just to show you a little bit about the Champions program here in the district. I'm super excited to announce that this year marks 20 years in the district with us. So that's exciting news, at least for myself as well. So in the packet here, it does go through, the beginning is just letting you know that we are nationally accredited. But what's more exciting to me is if we look a little bit deeper into the packet here, we go through some pictures of some things that we do with the district, with our Adopt-A-Family. Each December, we adopt families at every one of the schools. We donate gifts. We wrap them as a family with our partners and our families and our kids, and then we bring them to the offices, and the families come pick up the gifts. We just brought in Kibo and Strawberries. These are our Tech Track program. More will go into that deeper into this, but it was brought into the district at no additional cost to our families or the district. It was free, thousands spent per school, so that we can bring the robotics and coding to every student in Wayne Westland in our programs. So we did include some pictures in here about that and what they're doing. So then we can go through then there's some pages on Strawbees, our summer camp, just to show you some fun from last summer. But what I was speaking about earlier, which was really exciting, is where we get into these certificates, and there should be 12 of them total in here, and it shows you our Great Start accreditation. So this is the 4 and 5 stars that we've received through the Great Start to Quality rating system here in Michigan. This does allow us to offer our families that do qualify for the Department of Health and Human Services to receive our program for free. So this was a big adventure we went through in 2019 when I was able to have the opportunity to be in front of each of you last year. We said that we would commit to doing this, and we did commit, and we finished it. So this is done at all 12 of the schools that we're in. So it's done at Stottlemyre Early Childhood, the 10 elementaries, and then Marshall Upper Elementary. So we're able to offer that to free for our families that receive that Department of Health and Human Services. So that does go through for the 12 here. We then included some calendars for our summer camp for 2020 here. It goes through and shows all the different activities that we'll be doing, some of the clubs that we'll be offering, as well as the field trips. So just in peeks on what we're doing this summer. Again, the Tech Track flyer, and then we were able to include all of our families' engagement survey results. So we do a survey result for all of our families, and I included that in here for you to be able to peek through so you can see how your families and our families are enjoying the Champions programs overall. So that's just a sneak peek. In here, there's a little sheet. I'm sorry, I meant to include it in, and I got it late. But it does go through our anti-bullying event that we hosted last October. Thank you for coming. I appreciate that support. We'll be doing it again, second annual, on October 14th. It's National Anti-Bully Day, so we'll be hosting our second annual anti-bully walk that day this year. This is some pictures from last year's event, and it was extremely successful, so we were super happy about that. Just an opportunity to say thank you again for having us here in the district, and I'd like to open up the floor to be able to ask if anyone has any questions.
Members of the board? Any comments? Mrs. Madell?
I have heard only good things about this program after school, that it's serving our students well and meeting the needs of our parents. And I think that is the main crux of what we want to do, is make having our kids in a safe environment after school and before school for some of our other programs, to make sure that they're not being left alone. You know, we're trying to get away from that latchkey mentality of the 80s and 90s, and I think this program has served our students well.
Thank you so much
Good
for
job.
that. I really appreciate it. We've been able to serve an additional over 110 families this year by being able to include that up to free for the Department of Health and Human Services for those families. So it's an additional 110 families receiving free before and after school care. So thank you.
My question is, and congratulations on the program. And
Thank
I
you.
understand it's federal funds administered through Michigan Education, Department of Education. Is the transportation costs, are there any impediments to kids being involved in this? Do they have transportation costs in addition to the programs that they have to?
So we do work with the transportation department here in Wayne Westland. The only time that there is transportation cost to the families is when they go on a field trip on the different summer camp activities or break camps. And that really just goes to help to pay for the actual transportation that day to and from the field trip.
Are there families that can't take advantage of these because of that?
It's be great feedback for us to be able to learn if that's the case. I can definitely look into that and send out maybe some information to find out if that's the case. I absolutely wouldn't want it to be hindering an opportunity for children to be able to come just because of that cost, definitely. It's $8 per field trip for them to be able to come. And with the way that we've been able to work our summer camp, last year it was entirely free to those kids that were approved for DHS. We've always offered 25% off, 50% off, free to families that qualify, and we have the golden ticket for families that are homeless. And I've always been able to offer and work with our principals and things to be able to offer more than that. So I'm definitely open to talking about if there's a family that's hindered from the program just because of that cost, sir.
I'd like to know informally.
Sure.
You know, I'm not looking for a survey because that might give someone the indication that we're gonna resolve that. But I'd like to know.
Sure, I can look into that, sir.
Ms. Hines?
Thank you.
Is there like a limitation of how many students you can have at one time in the program? Is it cut off at certain amount of students, or how does that work in the schools?
So we do have the licensing capacities per school, but we've been able to work with every principal on a one-on-one basis to be able to add space if we do hit that licensing capacity number. They'll give us an additional space number. Like at Graham this year, we grew exponentially. So we were able to work with Miss Pringle and find that we were able to utilize the library as well, and then occasionally the music room next door. So we've been able to discuss that with them.
Anyone else?
I have another question to ask. You were talking about transportation costs for field trips and that. Are you accepting donations then from community members to help offset or provide, like campership, scholarship type things for the students who are having a hard time financing something like that?
We absolutely can entertain that idea as well. Yes, we
All
could
right,
definitely do that.
So who would I send them to?
Myself.
Okay,
Yes.
not a problem.
Everything can come directly to me. Thank you so much.
Anyone else? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
The next item on our agenda is 506.20, citizens' comments on items which appear on the agenda. Any citizens wishing to address the Board of Education on an item that appears on this evening's agenda is invited to do so now. We have a little form for you to fill out, and then we'd invite you to come to the microphone and talk. Is there anyone? Okay, seeing no one, we'll move to the next item on our agenda, which is the Board of Education Committee reports. The Finance Committee report by Treasurer Tom Buckaloo. Mr. Buckaloo?
Thank you. We held our meeting on January 23rd. In attendance were Devin Kling, Director of Finance, Kim Markey, Grants Management Purchasing Supervisor, Tony Spizak, Executive Director of Maintenance and Operations, Gino Montaigne, Energy Management Supervisor, Tamara Phoenix, Administrative Assistant for the Board of Education, Yvonne Scott, Administrative Assistant Recorder, Bill McCarthy, and Doug Underwood representing McCarthy Smith, Bill Weinrich representing TMP Associates, our architect, Carl Vanderzee from CBD Consulting, and for the board, Shauna Walker and myself. Meeting was called to order at 10 a.m., and Mr. Kling notified the committee that he would be ordering technology equipment and that because purchases would be made through REMC SAVE, public bids would not be required. REMC SAVE is a consortium operated by the state of Michigan, and the prices that they offer school districts are already bid out, and so we're getting the best price that's available when we go through them. So there is no bidding done at this level. These purchases are going to be paid for through the Early Literacy Grant and also from the Head Start Grant. Mr. Kling also presented the committee with a revised budget. Revenues are substantially unchanged. However, the expenditures are estimated to be about $5 million less than previously thought. This is a significant correction, and it's due to Mr. Kling's diligence in looking into a couple of matters. Last year, Wayne County Recess had provided us with some contracts with some inflated costs, and Mr. Kling has pursued that, and we have some revised numbers on that level. Also, we got some bad information and overpaid Mesa last year, and so there's a one-time saving in that area. Taken together, that's about $5 million, and it's significant. Additionally, Mr. Kling reviewed our investment report, told the committee that he was working on a cash flow analysis spreadsheet that would be very helpful to the 7 of us on the board as we try to understand money flow through the district. Mr. Underwood reviewed the bid package for work scheduled for Wayne Memorial. He told us that we'd receive fewer bids than anticipated and that these costs were higher than initially estimated. It was suggested, and I think this is what we're going to do in an effort to get more favorable pricing. We're going to wait until the fall and rebid this part of the project. Mr. Spizak brought us up to date with efforts to divest the district of certain parcels of land. He's continuing talks with Wayne, Westland, and Inkster, and has informed the committee that new security system and clocks are being installed at Hamilton as provided for by the bond construction program. And the meeting was adjourned at 11:15. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Buckaloo. The board has no action on this item. It's for information only.
Correct.
Is there any questions from members of the board? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, 508.20. Do I hear a motion?
Move approval.
Moved by Dr. Weaver. Is there support?
I'll support.
Support by Mrs. Madell. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Mr. Neal?
Myself, yes. Mr. Buckaloo?
Yes.
Mrs. Mendel?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Dr. Weaver?
Yes.
Ms. Hines?
Yes.
President Cox?
Yes.
7 yea.
Motion passes unanimously. Next item on our agenda is 509.20, which is a resolution to accept the Wayne Risa Enhancement Millage Proposal Renewal. Ms. Simmons?
Thank you, Mr. President. As you recall, there was a presentation at the last board meeting regarding the renewal of the enhancement millage, and we had informed the board at that time that we would be taking a vote at this evening's meeting.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Mr. Buckaloo, support by?
Support.
Dr. Weaver. Is there any discussion? Roll call vote, please, Mr. Neal?
Mr. Buckaloo?
Yes.
Mrs. Mendel?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Dr. Weaver?
Yes.
Ms. Hines?
Yes.
Myself, yes. President Cox?
And I also vote yes.
7 yea.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Head Start monthly report. Now, the Head Start program provides a comprehensive early childhood education, health, nutrition, and parent involvement setting, which sets the groundwork for a successful school career for our students. The program serves children who are 3 years of age and 4 years of age, or children that will not turn 5 before September the 1st. It's a federally funded program, and enrollment is based upon income. The program has been part of the Wayne Westland Community Schools for 15 years, and we can manage up to 305 students in the program. The grantee is the Wayne Metro, who provide the district with funds to run the program. And the monthly expense report board members are provided with each month is a copy of the actual invoices which we send to them for reimbursement. And by the way, that document is also available to anybody that would like to see it. The district provides in-kind support, including early childhood staff, the building, and utilities. And as required by federal law, you all received a copy of it, and I need a motion to accept the report as provided. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Buckaloo, supported by Dr. Weaver. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President,
Yeah,
I have a question. Is Mrs. Bedell no longer the liaison for that?
that's right.
And we did that at the January meeting when we choose?
No, I did that at the agenda review meeting last
So
Monday.
who's the liaison now?
I'm doing it.
So you'll be going to all those meetings?
That's right.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, Mr. Neal?
Mrs. Madell,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Ms. Hines,
Yes.
myself, yes, Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes.
and President Cox,
Yes.
7 yea.
Next item is the superintendent's report. Ms.
Thank you
Simmons?
again, Mr. President. Our students have had some amazing accomplishments this past month. The district spelling bee was on February 6th at Adams Upper Elementary School. We are very proud of all of the participants and want to congratulate Jeffrey Smith, an 8th grader from Franklin Middle School, on winning this year. He will advance to the state spelling bee in Detroit next month. Last weekend, John Glenn High School freshman Morgan Irwin became the first girls all-state wrestler in John Glenn's history. She competed against the best girls in the state of Michigan and took home a 4th place medal. Because of the generous donation from Freddie the Pizza Man Bello and several other organizations, our students at Taft Galloway have a new sensory room for their ASD program. I want to thank our bus drivers and transportation staff who are visiting our elementary and upper elementary schools and presenting a bus safety assembly for students. They have also visited our middle schools during lunch to visit with students and play games to help build those relationships. We are very excited to announce that we will welcome the class of 2033 at Kindergarten Roundup on March 12th. If you know a student who will be attending kindergarten next year, please invite them to attend Kindergarten Roundup at one of our elementary schools. We have more information on the district website, and parents can also call their local elementary school or our office for information. The district will be on midwinter break starting next Monday, February 17th through the 24th. We hope our students and staff enjoy this week off. And then I will be hosting the next coffee with the superintendent at 6 p.m. on Thursday, February 27th at Roosevelt McGrath Elementary School, and all are welcome to attend.
Thank you, Ms. Simmons. Next item on our,
Can I ask a question?
sure.
I've noticed all the signs that we have in front of some of our schools that are motion detecting for the speed limits on the roads. Where did we get those? How'd they come to be? 'Cause I know
City
they
of
just didn't
Westland
grow up.
received a grant. I went to one of their coffee with the Westland police officers at Bigby, and they discussed there that they received grant funding to install those. I know they're currently installed here on Marquette in front of John Glenn. They're also along Central City, and I know there were several other locations that they mentioned, but those are the only two that I can recall off the top
There's
of my.
Stevenson and Adams
Okay.
that I've noticed also.
Yes.
So I know Adams, I know Mrs. Samples, who's sitting here, tried for a very long time to get a lot of signage out there when our kids were going for meet up and eat in Adams during the summer and that, and some of the traffic was not holding to the speed limit in that stretch, and the concern for our students. So I'm glad to see we've got signage there finally.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a question, please.
Sir?
I'm aware of this young lady being All-State, but somehow the name I've misplaced that. Could you tell me that name again, please?
Yes, her name is Morgan Irwin.
Thank you.
I have IRWIN.
Other members? Thank you, Mrs. Simmons. Next item on our agenda is citizens' comments on non-agenda items. Citizens wishing to address the board on any issue at all may do so at this time. Does anyone wish to address the board? Okay, seeing no, I will move to review and recommendations of the Board of Education. Ms. Hines.
Yes, there was an awesome presentation with Champions, and my son, he's been in Champions ever since elementary school. It's a wonderful program. It's a wonderful program for parents, like when there's snow days and they don't have a place to put their children. So you guys are doing an awesome job. I'm so glad you guys are able to get the STEM in there, that piece. So I'm really proud about that because I was kind of concerned with our district. Other districts were doing STEM like Canton, and so I'm glad we got that aspect in as well. So, and then I just had one question too about the Head Start reports. I did notice that when I was going through the agenda, like the change without really talking with the rest of the board on certain things. I know Ms. Medell has been on that committee and she knows a lot of the laws and regulations pertain to that. So I'm a little concerned about as to how she was removed from that committee because she's always been there and she knows a lot about those regulations.
Thank you. Mr. Buckaloo? Comments? Well, thank you for your presentation tonight on the Champions. This Thursday, there's another Champions program, the Champions of Wayne, and they're having their banquet for the first semester. It'll be at 5:30 this Thursday at
Wayne Tree
something,
Manor.
I've
Wayne,
forgotten
it's
where.
Wayne Tree Manor.
Wayne Tree Manor. How could I forget Wayne? So that's going on. Starts at 5:30 this Thursday. Also, special congratulations to Morgan Orwin. If you've ever had the opportunity to get into the wrestling room at John Glenn, you can't help but look up at the wall and see the pictures of all of the All-State wrestlers down through the years. And her picture will be up on that wall shortly. And that's a tremendous accomplishment. Hours and hours and hours of work go into that. And for a young lady to do that, she's mostly working on her own. There are not many women who participate in wrestling at in our school district. So her accomplishment is doubly significant. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Buckaloo. Mrs. Bedell?
Well, I want to thank everybody who has donated to the Family Resource Center. I understand that the SH program was a big success, and I want to thank the people who organized that and oversaw that event and collected the money and got the word out there that we needed their support for the holidays. So, excuse me, again, thank you very much for all that support of the Family Resource Center. I got a chance to go to the ribbon cutting at Taft for the sensory room and got to meet Freddie, the pizza guy, and he is just a delight, and he was so excited that he could provide this for the students at Taft, and hopefully we can get some more rooms at other buildings for those students. And we're coming up to the time of the year when we're gearing up for our spring musicals. So don't forget, we've got a spring musical going on at John Glenn, and we will have one going on at Wayne High also. The one at Wayne High tends to be more kid-friendly, little kid-friendly, where the one at Wayne High tends to be, like upper elementary through high school friendly. So make sure you mark your calendars. The dates do appear on our school district calendar, so please take a look at that because you might be missing some important things that are going on in our district. Thank you.
Mrs. Bedell, Mrs. Walker?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted, I didn't finish my thought, and I just wanted to kind of just put out there. Normally in our organizational meeting is when we have decided on MESB reps, WCASPA reps, and before in the past we have talked about the Head Start rep. I know that I've served as there. I know Dr. Weaver has served, and I'm just wondering why we didn't have the discussion on whether we were going to remove someone from there in January, just for procedure, because that's how we've normally done it. And I just want to make sure that we, as a board, are still being a part of some of the changes or what's going on so that we all know what's going on. And that's pretty much what I have to say about that.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Dr. Weaver?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to thank Caden and Kinsley Gonzalez for leading us in the pledge tonight. And also a great big thank you to the Champions Before and After School programs. And we appreciate you ladies very much. It is Black History Month, and I want to quote Dr. Martin Luther King. The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Weaver. Mr. Neal?
To add to the comments about champions, my grandchildren got to take advantage of the program. It was a godsend for my daughter. And on a few occasions when I had the opportunity to pick them up from champions, I very often had a hard time dragging them away because they always were in the middle of doing some wonderful project that they really liked to occupy their time and to learn as well. So thank you very much for the Champions program. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Neal. First, I'd like to comment this evening on the treasurer's report about the finance meeting. Specifically, what the finance meeting dealt with is what most of us believed would be coming based upon all of the bond issues that were approved throughout the state of Michigan last year. There simply aren't the vocationally trained employees available in the contracting workforce that there was 10 years ago. Yet just about every school district, I think every school district that requested a bond from their electorate received a yes vote. And as a consequence, at one time, the marketplace was just flooded with construction projects. So what the finance department has done, and I completely support what they did, is they decided that rather than pay the high price that you would have to pay to be in this first group of buildings getting done, we would hold back just a couple of months. Holding back a couple of months would put us in a much better position in terms of the bidding of work. None of the work that we need to do to our school district is work that exists because we have dilapidated buildings. Everything is in excellent shape. We don't have leaky roofs. We don't have a problem with that. We're in a position to wait. We're actually in an excellent position. Not every school district is. If we made a decision that we were going to go in this first phase and we were going to try to bid work, we would be paying much more than we anticipated, and that would limit the amount of project that we could complete. Instead of doing that, the finance department, and I was not there when this was discussed, the finance department decided that they would put the school district and the school district's taxpayers in the best position possible. I think it was a brilliant decision. I was happy to see it. We're in a position to where we can do that because our facilities are in good shape. So I just wanted to say, Mr. Buckaloo, I thought that was a great move. With respect to Head Start, the only thing different with Head Start is I read the 4 paragraphs instead of Mrs. Mandel. There is no member of this Board of Education that is precluded from attending Head Start meetings, being involved in Head Start, being passionate about Head Start, or talking about Head Start. The only difference was I read the 4 paragraphs. So I don't anticipate that it was a change of any kind. Along with
that's
other...
not quite what your email to me indicated. You thanked me for my service.
And now and in the future, Mrs. Mandel.
That's not what it said.
Well, I just said it.
So
Is that the issue? Do you want to read it?
the issue is communication. It's always
Okay.
always
Then
comes
they're-
down to communication.
All right. Thank you.
And if that is your choice and you wish to be the liaison, then go at it.
So you don't wish to be the liaison?
I did not say that. Don't put words in my mouth.
I'm
I
asking.
didn't say that. I will be glad to serve if that is the wish of the board.
Okay.
Otherwise, I had no indication, no communication, other than what you sent me, and you thanked me for my service.
All right. Thank you. I, along with other members of the Board of Education, as well as the community leaders from Wayne and Westland, attended this year's celebration in honor of the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King at Westland City Hall. The featured speaker this year was Bishop Luke McClendon of the Christ Temple Apostolic Church of Westland. I always have trouble with that word. This bishop, he really spoke to me. He spoke with an eloquent message, and it resonated so much with me that I went up to him afterwards and asked him if I might have a copy of it so that I could share at least portions of it at this meeting. And he was very gracious, and he sent it to me right away. And to Bishop McClendon, thank you so much for your generosity in doing that. The bishop was asking all of us to consider what we would accomplish in our lifetime. Obviously, we were at a celebration honoring Dr. Martin Luther King and what he had accomplished in his lifetime. And the bishop kind of put it right back on everybody and said, what will you accomplish? And he proposed that we begin by asking ourselves two questions. And the questions were, did I today in some way grow as a person? And the second one is, did I today in some way make the world a better place in which to live? And he went on to suggest that we ask, what could be done to help move our community in the future? And what were each of us going to do personally to achieve this? And the bishop also said, a famous person once said that to improve is to think positive for positive change. And to be perfect is to change often. And I remembered that quote when he said it. That was Winston Churchill said that. I remember hearing that many years ago when I was in school. So the bishop went on to suggest two things. He says, first, you can focus on things that are within your scope of control, or you can focus on things that are outside of your scope of control. And when you focus on things within your control, you'll make progress and accomplish your goals. And when you focus on things beyond your control, most likely, you won't be able to do anything about it, and you'll end up complaining or blaming someone else for your lack of achievement. And when we as members of the Board of Education step back and take a good look at our community, we begin to see some things that could be changed for the better that are within our control. For example, we might consider the positive change that would come from expanding offerings at the William D. Ford Votech Center. I know I've talked about this many times before for the last 3 years. And the board has always been involved in other things that seem to be more important than this. But here we are tonight hearing our treasurer talk about how bids for a job came in greater than expected and fewer than expected, primarily because there are not enough vocationally trained employees out in the workforce. And yet that's what we do. As a matter of fact, the Ford Votech Center was at one time recognized as being the premier Votech Center in the state of Michigan. The governor of Michigan talked about this. As a matter of fact, if you read what she wrote before she was elected, that she wanted to accomplish vocational technical training was #1 on the list. We've heard our Congress people talk about it. The mayor of Westland and Wayne have talked about it. The president's talked about it. Everybody keeps talking about it. It dawned on me that as I'm listening to these words, I am in a unique position to actually cast a vote that would change that. All of the talking that all of the politicians do about it, they talk to the general population. Most people don't themselves have the ability to affect any meaningful change on this issue, but the Board of Education does. I think that what we have to do is recognize that this Votech Center continues to be a diamond for this school district, a draw to this school district, and there's no reason why it can't again. So much has taken precedence over exploring that, and right now we're looking for a superintendent. But I believe that the board can do work now in anticipation of the superintendent coming here in July so that we can get started on a project that will bring some meaningful opportunity to not just the students in our classroom, but also the adults in our community that could benefit from a night program. In addition to that, our district is spending millions of dollars on state-of-the-art security equipment in our buildings. And really, we are doing everything that's reasonable to do given the financial constraints. And it isn't just myself who feels this way. Every member of the Board of Education has supported this switch to security in our buildings. Currently, we have 2 police officers, 2 police resource officers in our school district. One domiciled at John Glenn High School and the other at Wayne Memorial. Now, between the city of Westland and the city of Wayne, there are about 65 sworn officers, serving about 100,000 in population. At our schools, we have over 10,000 children, plus about 1,800 employees served by 2. By the ratio between the city and the city police departments and the citizens they serve is about 6.5 officers for every 10,000, yet our school district has 2 officers for 10,000. Of course, we all know why, because of the money. But for us to spend the kind of money we're spending on security infrastructure and not have more law enforcement presence, I think it's a mistake on several levels. And one level is our culture and climate coaches are going away, and they have provided a valuable service in our school business, our school buildings. They have been able to act in many cases because they know these kids and they've dealt with them, and they can be helpful when there's conflict. And that not being there, there's going to be a ramification as a consequence of them not being there. The extent to which, I don't know, but I know it's going to have an impact. And I know also that for the kids in our school buildings to have some ongoing relationship with law enforcement is good for them, and it's good for them long term. So I don't know what we can talk about as a Board of Education with the cities of Westland and Wayne, or what we might be able to put together, but I think we should talk about it. Our district does a lot of things really good. And in fact, at graduation time, we all sit and we talk about the millions upon millions of dollars in scholarships that our brilliant students earn. And it's remarkable, the numbers actually. But the only time it's talked about is at graduation. There really is no outreach to the community or to people who might be interested in moving and living in our school district about what's available here. We used to have something like this. We used to have an outreach program. We used to spend some money on and advertising, for lack of a better term, letting people know what we do here. I will tell you, I know for a fact that there are students who live in our school district that attend other schools that themselves have an advertising outreach. That you go home and you see something on the door, there's something in the mailbox from a neighboring school right near our community saying, come to us. I don't think any of them can hold a candle to what we can offer here. We really have an excellent program, but we don't talk about it. And the reason we don't talk about it is money. Somewhere down the line, I believe that it was decided that we were spending money on it, and because of the financial constraints, we would pull back on that. Anybody that owns a business knows that if you're not doing the amount of business you want to do, you increase your advertising. You don't reduce it. I think we went the wrong way there. I would like to revisit that. Finally, Mrs. Mandel and I did have a conversation regarding achievement scores and strategic plan, and she mentioned that she was interested in having a study session on that. I'm also interested in having a study session on that. I know Mr. Buckaloo and I talked about that as well. I would like to have a study session on all these issues. I would like to let's get it out there and talk about each one of these things. And because it's going to be a long study session, I think we should ask Mrs. Phoenix if she can arrange something for a Saturday morning where we can get together. The first Saturday morning, everybody would be available and we can sit and talk about these things. I'd like to say that for the 2020 year, the Finance Committee is going to be Treasurer Buckaloo, supported and joined by Secretary Mark Neal and Trustee Shauna Walker. The Policy Committee will be chaired by Vice President Weaver, joined by Trustee Medell and Trustee Hines. And also, I have asked Mrs. Medell to serve as the chairman of a committee that is reviewing resurrecting an educational foundation that once existed in our school district, with the idea that it would be a district that would empower our teachers in a way that we are not currently empowering them. And she has asked Mr. Buckaloo to assist her in that, and others, and Mr. Buckaloo has agreed. So that's all I have tonight. Thank you very much. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Weaver, support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Neal. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. We're adjourned. Thank you.